What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another speed drawing with Gerald Fontroy, Fontroy Comics. And today we are doing a traditional inking of a sketch that I pulled straight from my sketchbook, Black Manta. So, right now I'm just simply going through the scanning process. Well, I just finished scanning my sketch into into the computer to edit it a little bit before I print it onto some Bristol board. All right, so I have my Black Manta piece. I'm going to open it real quick, and I'm going to open it in Photoshop. So, as of right now, it was 8 by 10, well, 8.5 by 11. Your standard sheet of paper, or standard sheet of paper coming out of a sketchbook. But I would like to get it to an 11 by 17, which is the traditional size for a comic book page, or a comic book Bristol board, which I like to work on. And I did a little bit of editing already. But I'm not really feeling that little faint line that's going through his trident. So I'm going to fix that a little bit. Now, it's not going to really affect. It's not going to affect the image when it's time to ink, but I want to make sure that I cover as many bases as possible before I decide to print it. So I'm going to just use my patch tool and my patch tool and my clone stamp tool to try to fix some of these issues. Once I'm done, I'm going to then, I'm going to give it a little transparency, and I'm going to print it onto some 11 by 17 Bristol. All right, so today I'm doing a lot. I don't know what the fuck to call it. Inking of Black Manta. Did this in a sketchbook. Couple of Actually, I did about a month ago, I think, and I've been itching to, you know, to really dive into inking this. So this would be my first time traditional inking in a while. So bear with me. I got this this where are you at? Here we go. I got this quill pen by Manuscript, and it's a little bit of a learning curve because of the fact that it wasn't cooperating at the beginning. It took a little while for it to oh, there we go. It took a little bit for it to decide to cooperate with me. So um, I printed out my Black Manta sketch. Um, I maybe should have cleaned it up a little bit, but I'm actually going to do a bit of ink wash work on this guy anyway. So uh, we'll see how this goes. Where should I start? Okay, we'll start off with this guy. Yeah. So I originally thought that I was going to do this on an 8 by 10 drawing. I actually have a actually started it on this guy, but inking at such a small scale, like it's a really big pain in the butt for me, to be completely honest. So I like doing I like going as big as possible, only because you get a chance to get the fine details, and I am definitely one that enjoy getting fine details. When it comes to drawing, you want to rotate your image as much as possible so that you can get the natural curve of things. Like your wrist naturally rotates a certain way, so you don't want to try to fight nature when it comes to stuff like that. But that's why you will see me spinning this image around several times. But anyways, um, did speak. Have you all seen DC Fandome over the weekend? It was, for those who are new to it, DC Comics decided to do they did their own private, no, not private, but their own convention where they released, where they announced the release of several different projects that are that are being, several different releases from the Batman with Robert Pattinson, Suicide Squad, Black Adam motion comic. What else did they release? Um, oh, the Snyder cut of Justice League, and I know it's other stuff, but those are honestly a lot of those are just priority. They're priorities to me, versus whatever else that comes. Oh, they also did a Gotham Knights video game, which is supposed to be set aside from the Arkham video game franchise, which I don't know where to start, because you're going to get me ranting on a bunch of these things. But let's start on the Batman. I love it. I love it. The Batman Let's go back to the anime series of the Batman. Um, Visually, it was very pretty. Visually, it was very pretty. I really enjoyed the Batman. From the designs to, the most of the designs, to the Batman, the Batmobile. What else? Just everything down to the intro. Like the intro just seemed very the concept of the Batman versus just Batman. It always adds a level of folklore to the character. Like, he's not a person anymore. He's a legend. He's a thing to, he's a story to be told over campfires and stuff like that. So that's why I always appreciated the concept of the Batman versus just Batman. Um, the animated series was really good because of the fact that they approached Batman from a different angle. He wasn't the tall big guy that we saw in the animated series. He seemed smaller. He was more sleek. He was more stealthy and stuff like that. He seemed like he fits this ninja like persona that Batman will always return to when it comes to fighting and stuff like that. So it was always, I always appreciated the Batman as far as the animated series, because of things like that, because they were really to take that risk. Now let's go to let's go to the live action movie. Again, I loved it. It was, I really like it. It was a step in a different direction. Um, they took a risk with Robert Pattinson, and honestly, I think it was a good gamble. He he doesn't. Now of course he's not, like, you're gonna have a lot of people, and I've had discussions with people. Shout out to Malucci. He's an artist, friend of mine as well. You have a couple of people who have an issue with him being small and quote unquote scrawny. But let's be honest, like Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, Christian Bale, George fucking Clooney. all of these guys, all of these actors who did indeed play Batman weren't all big guys. They were big, they were probably bigger than Pattinson, but they weren't huge muscular guys. So it was never a matter of you need to be a certain size to be Batman. Okay, you had to learn how to play the character right, sure. And I think the way that they're playing Batman in this movie is just going to be something different, and I am all the way on board. Um, the part, like going back to the trailer, the part where he takes off the mask, and you just see this cold stare of him. Like you don't you I haven't seen that in any recent Batmans. Like I saw that in Ben Affleck's, like with his hatred for Superman or whatever like that. But the issue with that is the fact that I felt like it wasn't warranted. I don't understand why you're beefing with Superman to this level, and you're still being an asshole. Like you're still being a piece of crap yourself. You know, but that's not a different story. I could very easily write about that as well. Let me keep my pen moving. But but going back to Robert Pattinson, I enjoyed the concept of him going to like them going back to year one. You get an origin story. You get an origin story without it being an origin story. You know, you're getting the beginning of his career, it seems, without it actually being, we have to see Martha and Thomas Wayne getting killed in the alley again. Like I'm tired of seeing it because of the fact that like they tried to use that as the motivation on why he's doing everything that he's doing for the entire movie. When when at some point, yeah, although that's something that Batman returns to when it comes to his psyche, he's gonna always think of like he replaced those characters with someone else throughout his career. Like he's gonna think of other other instances in which the innocent gets hurt, and that is going to be the one of the things that motivate him throughout his career because of the fact that he's experiencing so much stuff. But seeing Robert Pattinson take off that mask and seeing him like just he just seems so cold, which I feel that's something that I expect coming from the Batman. Like that's something I expect from coming from something of well that's supposed to be a folklore. Now this is just the trailer, and I'm just taking what I saw in the trailer. It just looks it looks good based off what I saw. Um, I get like if any of you saw the Daredevil series on Netflix, I get that from Robert Pattinson's Batman. Like I get a very down it seemed like it's very down to earth. It's very realistic compared to like not compared to but like very similar to Christopher Nolan's Batman series. But my issue with Christopher Nolan's Batman series was the fact that it was, I hate to say too realistic, but it was too realistic. Like to the point that they took the wings from the Batwing. They took like the Batmobile was just a tank, just a big black tank. Like there was no Batman element to the design of these things, which one of the things that I really liked about Batman, like he had a Batmobile and that thing had like it had like wing like fenders to it, and it had like the bat wing always had these big beautiful wings to them and stuff. So it's just like, why would you get rid of these things for the sake of realism? In this movie I feel like they're trying to back towards towards this fantasy that is the Batman. I mean that is Batman, but still they still want to try to keep it realistic, and all for the effort of making it true to his not grassroots. I'm never going to say grassroots in reference to Batman, but true to true to his origin, because when Batman first started, he didn't start off with a full fledged Batmobile. You know, he had a he. It was like um, Lu, Lu, Lucius Fox was a struggling mechanic, and you know, at some point, I think Bruce saved him. Like Batman saved him at some point, and you know, in a act of gratitude, um, Lucius was like, "Okay, you know, what can I do for you?" Yada yada yada, and he says, "Well, you know, would you be able to work on this car for me, or would you be able to customize this car?" Which he did, and boom, that's where we have the first instance of the Batmobile. And the first instance of the Batmobile was essentially a freaking Rolls Royce with a giant bat head or bat symbol on the front of it. Which, again, I appreciate that because of the fact that, you know, he didn't, you know, he's starting out like everyone else. You're starting out with, you know, something that you barely have, and you're essentially starting, you know, you're starting from, you're going from there. So that being said, I like the idea of him having to grow with his technology. You know, he had to develop something, you know, he had to develop something to help him chase down bad guys or whatever. And then maybe in the next instance or the next example, he will get a faster car or a better car or et cetera, et cetera. But but in, you know, but in Christopher Nolan's Batman, he just starts off with this giant tank. And, you know, the fanboys were like, "Ooh, I like the tank," and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, that's cool, but, like, that's not really what Batman is about, is it? I don't think so. I mean, well, I know so. It's not what a Batman is about. Hold on for a second. But yeah, so the idea of Batman starting off with a tank was honestly ridiculous because of the fact that it seemed like it was just gratuitous. Like, you don't need a tank for the stuff that you're doing. Like, for real. Now, let's compare the instances in which Batman did need a tank. Um, Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns series, which I remember back in the back during the 90s. Was it 90s Batman? Yeah, the 90s Batman animated series, when they had shout out to Kevin Conroy. He was one of he's the best Batman voice I've ever like you can never you know replace him. But so during that series, at some point there was an episode in which these kids got together and they started telling like legends and folklores of, you know, of times that they encountered Batman, right? And each story is vastly different. Each story is vastly different. There's no, like, you know, one kid says that the kid, you know, that Batman was a shadow. Another one said they no, he was a bat, you know, and all of these things. And then, like, each one was vastly different, but they were similar to the point that, okay, yeah, you can imagine that each one is describing Batman. Well, anyways, in one of the descriptions, they had Batman driving a tank. He was this big, massive, hulking like character who drove this big, you know, destructive ass tank. Right now, I don't know which one came first, whatever. But in the Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, or yeah, Dark Knight series, not series, but yeah, the book and the movie, Batman drove this tank, but that was because he was retired. He was old. He did this for a long period of time. I bet you his knees were shot. So that being said, he didn't have the energy, nor was he able to just jump in and out of the the Batmobile the way that he used to. So he had a tank, which rightfully so. He couldn't do the things that he used to do. So the tank would take up some of the slack, um, some of the slack that Batman couldn't do. Now that is a good reason why Batman should have gotten a tank. Should have gotten a tank. And the Christopher Nolan Batman, he was new. He was relatively young. He's just starting these things. So his first go to was just a tank. And not to mention, all right. So Batman's supposed to be um sleek, discreet, quiet when he can. He's like a ninja, right? We could all agree to that. So you think a ninja is going to ride through the streets with a motherfucking with a tank? No, that doesn't make sense. But anyways, um, what was I about to say? So yeah, like that tank didn't it just didn't work. But in the this Robert Pattinson Batman, it seemed like he has a muscle car. I'm pretty sure he has a muscle car with a lot of features, which I don't have a problem with, considering that it's still supposed to be the beginning of his Batman career. Now, at some point, I would like for them to stick true to try to stick true to the books, in the sense of, like, at some point he gets a different vehicle, or a better vehicle. Don't have this guy driving around in a freaking Mustang or a freaking Shelby GT for his entire career, just for the sake of realism. Like, we don't watch these movies you know for realism. We don't. I don't see the point of watching a movie for, oh, that just won't happen. Now, yes, if we're talking about in a sense of established character, and I mean an established character, and a character that has a certain set of rules, a character that certain has a certain level of power, or a character that just has a certain personality. Yes, like, I agree. Oh, that won't happen. I agree to that statement, because it could be out of character, which I feel like a lot of people don't get a chance. A lot of people don't realize that. Like, there's stuff that I'm like, that character wouldn't do something like that, because this character believes in X, Y, and Z. Now, if the character doesn't believe in X, Y, and Z, then I can't really say that. But if you're establishing a character and you establish their beliefs, you have to stick to those beliefs to some level, and unless they get convinced otherwise. Um, let's talk about Tony Stark. He was one of the best character arcs, because he started off so selfish, and so he was very selfish and very narcissistic. By the end of the franchise, or by the end of that his movie arc, he has changed significantly. He put himself and before others in many cases. He tries to do a lot that you, like you honestly wouldn't imagine the old Tony Stark doing. So that's one thing that I liked about Tony Stark's character arc, because of the fact that you see this character growth of his that you don't see in too many characters. You know. Um, what was I talking about? Oh, but yeah, to wrap it up, Batman was Batman. The Batman was a good was a good trailer. I enjoyed that one. Zack Snyder's Zack Snyder's Justice League Justice League Zack Snyder's director's cut of Justice League. Again, I mean, I said this on my podcast already, and I'm saying this again. It's still not fucking interesting. Like, it just looked like more crap. It crammed into, a already overdeveloped movie. Like, you're trying to cram way too much a like, one. It's a 3 hour and some change movie. That's way too long for you to be trying to. It's like, that's way too long for a superhero movie. Like, The Watchmen, I think was like 2 hours and 45 or 2 hours and 50 minutes, which is still long as hell. But at least in that case, like, you don't see too many Watchmen movies after that, did you? No, because nobody's trying to sit still for 2 hours and freaking 50 minutes. But like, if you couldn't explain what you needed to explain in the time that you had allotted to you, I don't want to see an extended cut. You know, like making the story longer is not going to make it any better. Like, and the issue, the honestly the issue is the fact that they're trying to, like, while, and I hate making this comparison all the time, but Marvel took baby steps. I mean, not, yeah, baby steps essentially. Like, every movie was going further and further and further down one path, right? But it was still baby steps. Okay, they didn't take the Avengers movie and put it smack dab in right after Iron Man. No, they had Iron Man, they had Captain America, they had Thor, they had. I mean, we at least knew who the fuck the Hulk was. From two. Well, how many Hulk movies were there before the Avengers? I think it was one with Eric Bana, and then one with what's that, Edward Norton, which I still feel like he was a great Hulk, but he doesn't fit Bruce Banner to me. But whatever. Um, but like, they took time to set up their rules. They took time to set up the universe. So anytime we have movies such as the Avengers, we're not like questioning, or yeah, we're not questioning or any, like, we're not questioning too much. And more importantly, we have a general idea of how these characters can get along or cannot get along. Like, you're not making shit up just for the sake of the screen. And that's what they did in Justice League. Like, the Flash was annoying. Well, yeah, Ezra Miller was annoying. When he was in the Flash suit, he didn't seem too bad. But when he was out of it, I was like, y'all are just trying your hardest to force some type of comical relief, and it's so freaking obvious. So yeah, the freaking Snyder cut. Okay, I don't care. I really don't. But Suicide Squad, don't care either. Uh, in that case, Suicide Squad. I didn't like the first one. The first one was, like, the plot was stupid. The um the setup was okay, but on top of that, it just seems like, why the hell do we want to see these nobody villains if y'all haven't set up their heroes yet? Like, DC was going for DC was going for the Galaxy, the Guardians. I'm sorry, the Guardians of the Galaxy push, and they had nothing, like none of their stuff succeeded the way that it should. They tried to push these mid tier, actually not even mid tier, like super low tier villains with in for a movie, and they didn't have a successful Superman setup. They didn't have like they had well they didn't have a successful Batman setup or whatever. And we're not talking about Christopher Nolan's Batman because that was so far away, and on top of that, they gave us a recent Batman, so that recent Batman would have to have set up or be used to set up a villain himself. But anyways, they tried to push this. They tried to push these low tier characters, expecting it to do what Guardians of the Galaxy did. They even set them up almost the same way. They don't like each other. They're all supposed to be misfits and pieces of crap and yada yada yada. But they come together to save the world and blah 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 blah. But it was really just a it was a poor move. It was a bad move. Um. So yeah, and then on top of that, in the Suicide Squad movie, it's 16 characters they're introducing to us. 16. That just sounds like too freaking much. Why are you introducing so many characters at one freaking time? And it's just like you're just throwing in characters just for the sake of throwing in characters. And half of these characters aren't even interesting. You have at least four guys who are pretty much the same freaking character, just in a different suit. John Cena is. I don't remember their dumbass names, but they're all like there's at least four characters that's like, yeah, I'm a guy with a gun. Yeah. What about him? Yeah, I'm a guy with a gun. Okay, what about him? I got two guns. Okay? Like, you're giving us at least six of the same damn character. And we're supposed to care about this. Um, Black Adam motion comic. Um, which I'm not going to trash, but I do not like. I do not like The Rock's acting. I don't. Like, the entire time he was talking, I was just thinking, shut up, 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 shut up. He doesn't. He honestly just seems like The Rock. Despite what role he's playing, he just seems like The Rock. And it sucks because of the fact that I'm not saying that. I mean, yeah, I am saying that he can't really act, but more importantly, it seemed like he's never going to be able to get into said character that you're trying to get him into because he just talks like The Rock. He makes his face like The Rock. He's standing there announcing this project like The Rock. And it's just like you're never going to look like or at least seem like the character that you're trying to portray because you just seem like The Rock. But anyways, I'm happy about the Batman movie, and that's honestly all I really got from it. Gotham Knights seem cool, but like it seems like I like the idea of them trying to operate without Batman, which honestly like we really need to get to that phase in which like these legacy characters that we grew up on, they have to stop being they have to stop being active. Like, how many times can you try to push like Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman down our throats? Like, let's see some other characters that we did not get a chance to see shine yet. So I like the idea of them trying to operate without Batman. Um, but yeah, that was all I got for DC Fandom. I can't think of um, any other stuff that I gathered from that experience. Now, before I continue, I really want people to understand. Just because I trash DC doesn't mean that I'm not a DC fan. I really am. Like, I really am. I really am a huge DC fan. They just haven't been doing well, shall I say. A lot of their a lot of their stuff has been very lackluster. Since it's been clear that they're trying to compete with Marvel outside of the comic book field, because I mean, and I'm not gonna say that they need the money, because they don't, but they've been trying to keep up with Marvel, and the way that they're doing it, or it seems like they're doing it, is just they're just throwing whatever they can against the wall and just hoping that it sticks. And that's like the complete truth. I feel like I don't like take your time. Please take your time. Like, I would rather take my time and give you something good versus trying to rush and just give you something that's just like, okay, yeah, this was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. Like, no, let me, I'm gonna take my time to make sure that you could get some good shit from me. So I don't know if you all keep up with Meg the Stallion. I don't know if it's Megan the Stallion or Meg the Stallion, either or. So she got into, well, she ended up getting shot by another artist, Tory Lanez, which, like, from the jump I was like, what the fuck, how did this happen? Like, all the whole situation sounded like horrible, and on top of that, it was just like, how did that happen, in the sense of like because, all right, so where this all happened, excuse me, allegedly, was in front of one of the Kardashians' houses, or at least, in the proximity, meaning that, like, whether they were leaving the party or what have you, either way, I expected something like this to be all over the media. And I'm talking about details, not the fact that, she got shot. I'm talking about details. Okay? Like, they could tell you what the hell, whatever, like, they could tell you what the hell Kim is wearing under her dress right now. Right now, but they couldn't tell me, or they couldn't tell us exactly how the hell Megan got shot by Tory Lanez. Now, she just released a video, you know stating point blank that Tory Lanez shot her, which, that wasn't even, like, I mean, I don't think that was the question. At least I hope not. And you got people that's out here trying to defend Tory Lanez. I'm like, bro, if the nigga squeezed the trigger, then he squeezed the trigger. There's no defending that, okay? Like, niggas go to jail for the shit like that, which, should be in the process right now, if as if it hasn't happened yet. So that being said, I really hope y'all are not out here trying to defend this guy who shot someone. You know, like, for real, stop it. Just stop it. But what about that? But yeah, like, I was like, okay, so I need, like, I really wanted details. Like, the video was of there was a video of the police approaching when they had him at gunpoint, and they was asking Meg to back away from the car with her hands up slowly and yada yada yada. And I'm like, wait a minute. So he shot her in the car? Again, I'm still confused. Like, how the fuck do you shoot? And then when the video that she released said that he was in the back seat, if I'm not mistaken, and she was in the front seat. So again, I'm still like, what? How the hell did he shoot her from the front? I mean, from the back seat. Like I'm still really confused. I'm still really confused, and I'm like, honestly, I think either Tory's publicist or Tory himself or what have you, like they've been doing like a lot of work just to keep this under wraps, because I feel like details are definitely eluding us, and I feel like that has something to do with Tory and his publicist. That's all I really have to say about that. I really hope Meg is doing good. I hope she's doing better, and I hope that these assholes who's trying to defend Tory Lanez, like, come on, bruh. It's Tory. We don't need does the culture really need Tory? Like like for real. Like we're not. Nobody's like, oh my god, but Chicks Tape 6. No, nigga. Nobody gives a fuck about no damn Chicks Tape. Okay. Like we like the culture could stand to lose Tory. We're okay. Like let his ass sit. Sit for 5, 6 years or whatever, and then then we'll freaking reevaluate. But it's no reason why anyone should be out here trying to defend some guy who shot a woman or shot someone. Period. For real, for real. Like, I don't want to just say specifically because she's a woman. If you're out here shooting niggas and shit, like we really need to hold these people accountable. Like we can't be like, oh no, but the streets. No, nigga, the streets the streets could stand to get cleaned up. Okay. Like for real. Like I want people who out here robbing niggas and holding niggas at gunpoint, yada yada yada. Like I want y'all to put y'all guns down for real. Like we need to change this fucking narrative. Like we don't want to give white America and white media we don't want to fucking like give them anything to show us when we have to freaking fight for our lives, because that's exactly what they do. And yeah, I'm not trying to say black on black crime blah 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 blah, but I'm just saying like if you want to help change your environment, you have to help change your environment. Okay. I sincerely believe that you are a product of your environment, and on top of that, you are definitely a factor in changing your environment. Okay. We want to talk about, well, we need to clean up. We need to clean up and work on the environment and blah 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 blah, while still not even bothering to change or work on your environment. You know, like if you want people to be nicer or genuine people, you have to be a nicer and genuine person yourself. Okay, that's how you start to change. I mean, that's how you start to change things. You don't change things just by making comments about it and stuff like that. You need to change it yourself. I sincerely believe that. I do my best to try to be a nice person in every instance, um, solely for the sake of hoping, solely for the sake of trying to better, trying to better, better my surroundings. Or, and of course you hope that, you know, these acts of kindness and being a nice person and stuff like that will come back to you and stuff like that. But if not, well, it's not going to come back to you immediately. That's one thing that people need to learn about this. Like, people think karma is something that's going to go around the freaking world in, like, you know, 2 hours or whatever like that. No, it takes time. Okay, and more importantly, it doesn't hit you the way that you would be able to identify it. You know, your good deed is not going to come back to you in the way of, oh well, I found $1 because I helped this old lady across the street. That's not how things work. Sorry to say, it's the small things. You need to learn how to appreciate the small things. You know, one of my favorite small things that I appreciate is you ever go to a public area and you drive down this one aisle looking for a parking space, right? And mind you, it's fully, like, the area is, prime time, it's rush hour or whatever. You got everybody's there, and you're looking for a parking space, and you drive down the one aisle that you feel like, damn, nobody's, like, I highly doubt that I'm going to find a parking space down this aisle. But what do you find? A parking space. You maybe have some guy coming out of a parking space, or some family that's coming out of their parking space or whatever, and you just got to be patient enough to wait. Those are the small things. It's the small things. Like, and I guarantee you that aisle that you found your parking space on is, like, the closest one to wherever you're trying to go. So it's all about finding the small things, appreciating the small things, and making sure that you try to put that energy back out into the world. Okay? And that's how you help positively affect your environment. People like to say manifesting and blah 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 blah, but it's like, it's about just simply taking the effort to help, positively affect your environment. You know, like, that's all it is. You want your environment to be better, then you have to help make it better. That's the short end of it. Like, you can't say that you want something or whatever like that involves other people and not actually, put in that effort. See, this is the reason why I like working on bigger scale, because I have all of this space to work with. Like, at this size, see how tiny that is? That's tiny as crap compared to that. So, yeah. Mm. Oh, so Nas released his album, The King's Disease, if I'm not mistaken. Which, the King's Disease in references gout. Gout is a disease that you get when you when you have a heavy diet of salty and processed foods and stuff, and I think it's salt, if I'm not mistaken. The salt, it gets so, like, the salt gets so thick in your bloodstream that it starts to crystallize, and it I'm sorry, no, it drifts down to the base of your body, which the base of your body is your feet, and it crystallizes around the joints in your feet. And and when it crystallizes around these joints, it's very, very, very painful. That's the gout. But King's disease in references the gout. The gout means that you're living, you're living not healthily, but you're old. You have, you're eating well, not eating well, but eating a lot. You're growing fat and wealthy, not healthy, wealthy. Um, I honestly thought that Nas was going to reference the description in his and he did mention it at some point in his album, but I thought it was going to be like a little more detailed. I really enjoyed the album though. I really enjoyed the album. It started off slow for me, but I would say, was it 27 Summers I really enjoyed. Um, Now I need to look it up. 27 Summers I really enjoyed. All right, 27 Summers, The Cure, 10 Points I enjoyed as well. Um, Spicy was dope. And I think I enjoyed Till the War is Won. I'll have to revisit that one. But it was a pretty good album. I would recommend it for for people who haven't checked it out yet. Comment your favorite one, your favorite album in the comments. I mean, actually, yeah. And if y'all feel like y'all disagree with me or any of my hot takes, or if y'all agree with me on any of my hot takes, comment in the comments below. I I try to check my comments, whenever I do get them. Um, Check out my website, fontroycomics.com. I upload and I try to post, I try to post, images that I work on, but as well, like they're available for prints. Yeah, they're also available for printing. So, if you just go on the website and, select the one that you want, and boom, there you go. They're available. I will send it as soon as I can. Uh, I have a lot of commissions that I still get on like the weekly basis, but I'm not opposed to getting more. So if you have a commission, feel free to contact me, email me, DM me or whatever on my many socials. Well, not my many socials, my few socials. Um, Check out my clothing, my website. I mean, my clothing website, from which is different from my other art website. My clothing website is spacecadetapparel.co, not .com, .co, and check it out and see how you like it. I do a lot of vibrant colors in my clothing designs. I really enjoy vibrant slash pastel colors when it comes to clothing, because I feel like it doesn't get highlighted enough, and on pun intended, and on top of that, I feel like it's not available for guys as much as it is for girls. Um, I like shoes, and when I be looking at shoes, I always end up running into shoes that I'm like, oh, these are nice, What size are them? Oh, only for women. Shit. Okay. Well, these are nice. Oh, what size are them? Oh, they only they stop at size 10 or whatever. Which I haven't been a size 10 since I was like freaking 13. But but yeah, check out my clothing line, Space Cadet. I take a lot of pride in designing, good stuff. It may seem like it's primarily for women, but it's unisex. Like I designed this stuff for either gender. Yeah. There's some clothes. There's some clothes that's specifically for women or whatever like that. But again, it's unisex. It's not really you know saying that either gender can rock it. All right, I think I'm gonna call it quits for today. I think I made some pretty good progress. There we go. All right, so this point in the process, I'm gonna pull out my ink, raw ink. Um, get a little painterly with it. Well, not getting painterly yet. Just take a couple of drops. There you go. It's been a while since I did this. So I'm going to start small. Probably should add a little bit of water to this too. Where is my tiny brush? A little bit of water. Just a drip. There you go. Just to loosen it up a little bit. Now, so for those who are watching this and don't know, um, it's with a heavy heart. I am letting you all know that Chadwick Boseman, well known for his role as King T'Challa, Black Panther, has passed away. Passed away at age 43. Um, he was battling colon cancer for a while, and I remember seeing pictures of him, like and he definitely did not look, and he didn't look his best. And I, I, I remember seeing it, and I didn't play it off, but I definitely did not think that it would have, turned for the worse like it did. But yes, King T'Challa, Black Panther, 21, was it 21 Bridges? Jackie Robinson, Chadwick Boseman has passed away. It's really heartbreaking because, um, like 2020 has already been rough, and we are already we're losing people, like consistently, and like to lose such people at at a young age. You know, like his career was still like still, you know, not starting, but it was still, at its very younger stage. He could have had an entire, another 20 years in acting. And we lost him. I pray for us. I really hope his family's the best. I really do. This is really sad. And I really want to try to move the conversation away from, the depressing news, but unfortunately, it's not really much you can really do when it comes to, such sad news like that, but just deal with it, you know. It's best to just, to try to deal with the emotions right then and there, than hold it in and just address, because because those emotions come out one way or another. They do. And don't ever think that you're just going to not deal with it. You're going to deal with it. You're going to deal with it in different ways, but you're still going to deal with it. So you really need to focus. I mean, I just think that it's best for you to address those feelings right then and there, so that, you know, later on down the line, you'll be better at handling these feelings, because they don't just happen once and then go away. No, they come back. They're reoccurring. So your best bet is to focus on, working or dealing with those feelings, learning how to cope with them, learning how to address them, and more importantly, learning how to identify them. A lot of people don't know how to identify them until someone points it out for them. And then they say, "Oh, okay," you know. And you have to be receptive to those things as well. You have to try to be receptive to when someone does say, "I feel like you're acting out," or "I feel like you are dealing with, something, um, and you're showing signs of struggle with those emotions." So just be receptive to those. Like, you're not getting trashed for feeling how you're feeling. That is not the case. Don't ever think that that's the case. And if that is the case, and you're, Jesus Christ, if you ever feel like that's the case in your situation, or in your circle of friends or family or your support group, then you might have to find a different support group. All right, everyone. As you may see, I sped through the process, for time. I doubt that you all really wanted to sit through the entire thing, but I tried to cover as much as possible. I did a little bit of inking as far as with the pen. Then I, applied a an ink wash with paintbrushes, ink that you could get from any, art supply store. And near the end, I actually started applying, I used a white ink pen to create the rain effect and the lightning. And it's really useful when you want to cut back into your solid blacks without actually having to kind of, draw or ink around certain lines. But I really hope that you all enjoyed this one, and stay tuned for the next one. Believe me, this is going to be up on the website and my social media as well. Yeah, look forward to the next one.